Now, government officials and opposition leaders have been visiting the Beira area over the last couple of days, assessing the damage caused by Cyclone Idai. CGTN's Angelo Coppola caught up with the Renamo presidential advisor in Maputo.
Renamo's Giuliano Picardo is still shaken from his visit to Beira.
The good word to say, Beira now doesn't exist anymore. It was terrible for everyone who was there. It was 9 hours with wind 220 kilometers per hour.
While roads leading into Beira are all but destroyed, aid agencies have their hands full. More help is needed.
We should send who wants really to work on the ground, not just go in one trip and coming back in the second trip, but who wants to be there with a lot of material to save people who are still alive right now, special at the hospital where we've got small babies.
As the continent and the world begins collecting donations, there are some immediate needs.
To ask all our partners, internal and outside of the country, to help Beira. If the people can survive, special in water, medicine is special things. Milk for the babies, special.
As aid agencies scramble to get to those distressed people, time is running out and it has to happen sooner rather than later. I'm Angelo Coppola for CGTN in Maputo, Mozambique.
Well, let's bring you the very latest now from Mozambique. We're joined by CGTN's Angelo Coppola from the capital, Maputo. Of course, Angelo, just from your report, it's very clear that rescue teams are facing some serious challenges there. Just talk us through the details of what is happening as far as rescue operations are concerned.
Lindy, it's really tight at the moment. We heard this morning that 11 of the helicopters that are stationed at Beira Airport were actually grounded due to poor weather and poor light. So they couldn't get on their missions to go and look for people in the higher lying areas around the city and also in the outlying areas near the city. So that was for a couple of hours this morning. We do know that one of the SANDF choppers was in the air and working quite closely with aid agencies. They rescued around 150 people, brought them to safety from where they were. But bottom line here is that with the weather getting worse, there's more rain expected until Friday, in fact. Rescue missions are probably going to be kept to a minimum because of safety concerns for the chopper pilots. And that's the only way that the aid agencies are actually getting to the outlying areas is via chopper to go and look for people who are in distress. So as it stands right now, there is more rain expected. The light at the end of this particular tunnel is the rain is expected to ease by Friday. However, there are two rivers that flow into Beira itself, and if the rain continues in Zimbabwe, it's going to flow in and we're going to see flooding again, and we might have a bigger issue then, Lindy.
When you consider all these weather challenges, it really certainly seems like a race against time. On the one hand, for the rescue efforts, but on the other hand, of course, there is the humanitarian aid concerns. What is happening in that regard, in being able to reach some of the most vulnerable people in the most remote areas, Angelo?
Well, we do know that children, orphans and woman-headed households have been severely affected by this big storm that struck. We know that several hundred have been identified by locals who understand that these people are in those remote areas. They're being sought out and brought to safety. It's not going as well as it should be going. We heard this afternoon, for example, that Beira, people in Beira are calling for milk donations because the kids or the babies in the hospital are running out of milk and they need that milk. And if the situation is that dire in Beira city itself, you can imagine how dire it is in the outlying areas where there is no alternative to milk or extra milk being delivered there. So there's a major issue there, and everybody's really concerned about the hundreds and thousands of children and families that are in the outlying areas, on trees, on raised surfaces, on roofs, waiting to be plucked to safety, because in some instances we understand that the flood waters are around 8 meters deep. That's a big amount of water for anybody to survive in. Lindy?
And as you give us that information, Angelo, you know, the full scale of the loss and the full scale of the damage is only just beginning to emerge. Just talk us through what people are experiencing as far as food and fuel and power shortages are concerned in Mozambique.
Well, Mozambique, like most countries on the continent, rely on the road system for tanker trailers and for those big 18-wheeler trucks that take food, fuel and other supplies from the port cities into the center of the country. And with the roads being washed away, specifically the EN6, which connects Zimbabwe to Port of Beira, that was washed away on Sunday, if I recall. There's a new bridge there. It cost around $440 million. It got washed away in the blink of an eye. That's caused a problem in Zimbabwe. But the road networks out of Beira are also all affected, and the trucks are either stuck getting into Beira or trying to leave Beira, and they can't take their supplies out or get new supplies and take them in. We do understand, however, that there is a container vessel that's docking in Maputo port either on Wednesday evening or on Thursday, and it's going to take supplies up via the coastline and drop it off in the port of Beira. That might be one way to alleviate some of the issues that the Beiran people are facing right now. Lindy?
Angelo Coppola, thank you so much for that update. Joining us there from the Mozambican capital of Maputo. And as he says, some steep challenges facing rescue teams there with bad weather set to continue up until Friday.